These Katy Perry allegations are so disturbing. Before we get into this, I need to be very clear. What we are about to discuss does involve some very serious allegations, but nothing we do say here is confirming guilt. These claims are now currently under police investigation, and like in any case of this nature, they need to be proven or disproven in a court of law. So this isn't to decide who is guilty or not guilty. It's about understanding what has been alleged, how this is being handled, and kind of what this situation is saying right now about celebrity culture, the internet right now, and just everything that has happened. Because a story surrounding Katy Perry and Ruby Rose has currently resurfaced, and it is raising some very uncomfortable conversations. Of course, before we go into it, please be sure to like this video and subscribe down below. It helps to support the channel in making more videos, and I would love for you to be a part of this little corner of the internet. And I think, of course, before we do go into this video, there will be a trigger warning. Of course, there will be some discussions of assault, SA, a lot of very sensitive topics. If this is not for you, then please click off and I will see you in the next one. So here are the facts as they stand. Ruby Rose has publicly alleged that Katy Perry had assaulted her during a night out in Melbourne in 2010. Australian police have now confirmed that they are investigating a historical sexual assault linked to that time and location. This reportedly happened during a nightclub setting. Rose says that she has now formally reported the incident and will no longer be speaking publicly about this situation while the investigation does continue. On the other side, Katy Perry's representatives have strongly denied the accusations, calling them categorically false and dangerous, reckless lies. So what we do know right now is there is a public allegation, a formal police investigation, and complete denial, and that is kind of where we stand at the moment. But of course, any allegation of this nature is very serious. Of course, like full stop. It is a very serious situation. But there is obviously, I think, a few reasons why this case is hitting so hard. One thing that people are noting is the time gap. So this is an allegation from something that happened over a decade ago. Immediately, that is raising some very complex questions. People saying about memory, evidence, legal thresholds, why are you talking about it now type of thing, which sadly isn't unusual in cases like this. But I think it is, of course, valid to know it will probably make the investigation a lot more complicated. It is very obvious, like I think when you experience trauma, you don't really want to face it. So if someone comes to the police 10 years later after something's happened, maybe they have come to terms with the trauma and are now ready to face trying to seek justice. But not everyone sadly looks at it that way. I also think people are struggling with the kind of public nature of this. This didn't start in a courtroom, this appeared over a social media post, and I think sadly that kind of changes how the story is spread. Instead of all the information moving through those legal channels first, it moves through public opinion first. And once that happens, it becomes a lot more difficult to separate. We are then looking at facts versus interpretation or speculation, and it just makes the situation a little bit more muddy, because then that leads to a really uncomfortable problem that we are now facing, and that is the internet's reaction to this situation. When allegations like this go public online, people don't wait to react, they react instantly. You'll see people that fully believe the accusation, but then you'll see people who are fully dismissing it, or people that are turning it into debates or ultimately humour and memes. Within hours, it stops becoming a legal matter. It becomes a sort of narrative, a side to pick, or something to argue about. And we aren't oblivious to this. The problem with that is the internet just doesn't operate on evidence. It operates on speed and emotion. So you end up with two extremes. Believe everything immediately, or dismiss everything immediately, neither of which really represents how an investigation works. To get to the truth is a lot slower, and it's not as clear cut usually, and it's a lot more complex than just an internet debate. There's also another layer of this, that it is a celebrity allegation, because when someone as globally recognized as Katy Perry is involved, the conversation changes. People aren't just reacting to the allegation, they react to their existing opinion of that persona, their past controversies, their public image. And I think Katy Perry has had quite a few moments that has drawn criticism in the past. We have seen boundary crossing moments to previous misconduct allegations. We are going to go on to that a little bit further into the video, but the history doesn't necessarily prove anything in this case, but it does influence how people really interpret these new allegations, which is raising an important question. Are people reacting to the evidence or to the persona? I think it's just very complicated. There will be people who are fans of Katy Perry that maybe want to come after Ruby Rose, and people who are fans maybe will stand on the hill that she can do nothing wrong. And we know about this whole, you know, parasocial relationship with celebrities. It is not a great thing, and the very celebrity nature of this allegation, I think, will draw a lot of unnecessary comments and speculation. It is a very hard thing to come forward with allegations and talk about trauma, and all the comments I've seen online are so divided on it must be Ruby Rose lying, or Katy Perry's done lots of bad things in the past, she's just a terrible person. And it's a shame that it has gone public like it has without actually having legal understanding. Like, I'm glad Ruby Rose has come forward, you know, if these are all valid accusations, but at the same time, I don't know if she'll get the same results she wanted by how public it has gone before any legal standing. Something else that I do kind of want to touch on, which is very unfortunate, and I'm not saying this is right, but this case does include allegations between two women. I think historically conversations around misconduct with women has been a little bit less handled correctly. People make these assumptions on what abuse can look like, who it involves and what it actually involves. So when a case doesn't exactly fit those expectations, I think it can be dismissed, misunderstood, or really not taken as seriously, which I think is adding again another layer of difficulty to this very public situation. I think it's very obvious that anyone of any gender can obviously commit these awful crimes, but there does seem to be the sort of bias or myth that it is only a certain type of person who can do this. So I fear that maybe it won't be taken as seriously because it is between two women. But now I think there's a gap between the allegations and what the final outcome will be. Between this gap, I think it'll be very easy for misinformation to be spread. Their reputations can be shaped and public opinion does harden. If the allegations are true, I'm not saying she's lying, but you kind of have to approach it in that way. If the allegations are true, then the delay, the doubt, and public scrutiny, I think, can be part of the harm. Of course, again, I don't want to say she's lying. I'm definitely not saying that, but you have to think of it. If the allegations are false, of course, the damage to reputations can be permanent. And I don't think the internet is very quick on correcting itself all the time. I think this is just a very volatile situation. I did say I wanted to go into some of Katy Perry's past controversies because I have seen this popping up a lot, and considering there are some allegations surrounding consent, I did think it was somewhat important to bring up. Of course, it doesn't establish guilt and it doesn't replace evidence, but I do think it is probably important to talk about. I think it also explains why the public reaction to this situation has been so strong and so divided, because Katy Perry hasn't just been in the spotlight for years with her music. She has also been at the centre of multiple controversies over the years. One of the most talked about incidents is during her time on American Idol. She had faced backlash after kissing a contestant on the show without real consent, and then later accused of mum-shaming another contestant on the show.
At the start of my audition, before I sang, I mentioned that I had 3 children and was a young mother, and Katy Perry made a joke that wasn't super kind.
American Idol contestant Sarah Beth Leva speaks out after some viewers accuse Katy Perry of mom-shaming her on the show. It all went down earlier this month when Sarah Beth auditioned for the hit singing competition show.
I'm 25 and I'm from California.
You cannot be 25. What are you saying?
Yes, 25.
No,
16.
16.
I mean, come on.
Bless, you guys are my favorite.
Give us a
I have 3 kids, so that's like...
Get away from here. What?
Yeah, judges Lionel Richie, Luke Bryan, and Katy Perry were shocked to learn Sarah's a proud mama of 3.
Okay, Katy?
Nope.
It's okay.
If Katy lays on the table, I think I'm gonna pass out.
3 kids.
Honey, you've been laying on the table too much.
No.
You know.
There was also a separate allegation in 2019 from an actor, Josh Kloss, who had said she exposed him without consent during a shoot. Katy Perry had denied those allegations. Outside of just misconduct-related controversies and allegations, there have also been multiple ones tied to her image and decision-making. For example, there was criticism over shoe designs that had allegedly resembled blackface imagery, which were later pulled. Backlash over a geisha-styled performance accused of cultural appropriation. Then there are some more unusual but very high-profile disputes, including a years-long battle with a former convent.
We are officially the foremost journalists on Katy Perry in the world because Washington Post posted this insane headline, Katy Perry, please stop, begged a nun. Then she collapsed and died. That was 2018. Since then, Katy Perry has been dragged through the mud for her real estate holdings. She killed a nun. There's like a dying veteran that she won't stop bullying.
More recently, she's also faced criticism over working with producer Dr. Luke, despite some ongoing controversies surrounding him.
If you don't understand why people are mad at Dr. Luke and talking mad shit about Katy Perry right now for allegedly potentially working with him again, I'm going to tell you the whole tea and nothing but the tea. And the situation between Kesha and Dr. Luke is absolutely one of the most disgusting stories I've ever had to cover. Shortly after signing with Dr. Luke, Kesha attended a birthday party for Nikki Hilton at Paris Hilton's mansion. It is there at this party that Kesha alleges that she was given a medication by Dr. Luke, which he called sober pills. She then alleges that she woke up the next morning in Dr. Luke's hotel room and that she knew something had happened, if you catch what I'm saying. It was that next morning while she was still in the hotel room that she allegedly called her mother P.B. Siebert. And her mother has later testified on the contents of this call, saying that Kesha said, "Mom, I'm scared. I think I had relations and I don't know where my clothes are and I'm sore."
And being part of that billionaire-funded spacecraft flight that many people saw as tone deaf, I'm sure you remember all the internet memes from that moment. And when you put all of that together, you do see some sort of pattern. I'm not necessarily saying in a legal sense, obviously I can't say that, but repeated moments where boundaries are being questioned, decisions have definitely been criticised, and public trust surrounding her has been a lot more complicated. And when, of course, these new allegations are surfacing, people are reacting through all of the past controversies, plus this new allegation. Some people are seeing this history and are saying this fits the pattern. Others will look at the same history and go, this is why we shouldn't jump to conclusions. And I think that divide is what we are seeing exactly right now on social media. Because in kind of the absence of these confirmed facts, there are a lot of gaps that people are trying to fill. So where does that leave this situation? Right now, it is just an allegation that is being seemingly investigated. No legal conclusions have been met, which means the most responsible position is often the one that people don't want to have, is that we have no verified information and no actual conclusion to sit with. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this one. Do you think that situations like this should be handled at all by the internet? Should this have been a private matter? Do you reckon social media will make this worse? Is it just an unavoidable part of how information spreads now? I do worry that maybe with it being so open on social media, that maybe it could affect any court proceedings. I know we have seen that in the past, and obviously it's a very good thing that she's not like Ruby Rose is now not posting on social media any further about this, obviously for the investigation. So that is very positive, and I hope that any previous mentions on social media won't affect the case. And of course, I just hope that the truth comes out in full, and obviously the right things happen. But I will try and keep up to date with this case. If there is anything new ongoing that is released, I will try and update on it if that is something you would like to see. Of course, if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like the video and subscribe down below. I'm on the journey to 1,000 subs and I would love for you to be a part of that journey and join this little corner of the internet. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.